Tonight, we descend.
They said diving into a killer's mind was just science now. Data, synapses, controlled environments. But no machine can prepare you for what lives in the dark corners of a murderer's memory. Detective Allie Varin didn't go in to catch a killer. She went in to save a child. What she found was something far worse. And now, she might not be the one who comes back out. The city of Varelia didn't sleep. It pulsed like a nervous system wrapped in neon and steel, twitching beneath clouds that hadn't shown a star in years. And somewhere in its stomach, buried under concrete and code, a man sat in a white room grinning. Detective Allie Varin stared at him from the other side of a thick, transparent wall. 27 years old, exhausted, and running on caffeine and trauma. The serial killer, whose name he had given only as Caleb, had been caught. He had murdered 4 children. There was no question of guilt. The evidence was overwhelming. But there was still one missing. A boy, 7 years old, last seen outside his apartment door, never made it to school. And Caleb wouldn't speak. Not to anyone. Just smiled, like he already knew they'd run out of time. Dr. Kesser, lead MindSync technician, tapped her clipboard behind Allie.
He's been screened for the procedure. He's stable, at least by our standards. The risk is minimal if you stick to the shallow layers. Just read surface thoughts.
And if I don't? If I go deeper?
Dr. Kesser paused, then said nothing. Her silence was answer enough. The technology, NeuroBridge, had been legalized only a year ago for high-level investigations. Think of it like walking into a dream, but that dream had teeth, and if you weren't careful, it could chew your mind into pieces. Protocol dictated 2-person syncs, safety anchors, timed extraction, but the boy had been missing for too long. Allie wasn't interested in protocol. She requested a solo dive. Her captain refused. She went over his head. And now, with legal overrides stamped in her file and a sterile MindSync chamber prepped like a surgical theater, Allie stepped into the chair. She stared at the image of the boy. Dark hair, shy smile, one more time before lowering the visor. The world turned black, then red. NeuroBridge didn't enter a mind so much as it merged with it. And Caleb's mind, it was warm, too warm. The world around her flickered like a dying film reel. Brick buildings faded in and out. Lights crackled above her, dangling from wires like severed nerves. She stood in an alley, somewhere unfamiliar, but too detailed to be imagined. Memory. Twisted, yes, but real. Something skittered behind her. Laughter, sharp and childlike, bounced down the walls. She turned. A door, red and rotting, slowly creaked open. The rules were simple. Stay near the entry point, don't engage too deeply, maintain identity. Allie stepped through the door. The boy might still be alive, but only if she found the truth hiding in the nightmare of Caleb's mind. And if she was wrong, she'd be next. She just didn't know it yet. The hallway beyond the red door stretched far too long for any real house. Its walls were narrow, breathing like lungs wrapped in wallpaper. Dim light buzzed from a single overhead bulb that followed her as she walked, never more than a few feet above, no matter how far she moved. Allie kept one hand against the wall. It pulsed faintly under her palm, as if blood ran beneath the paint. She turned a corner, then another, then another. Each hallway looked the same. The same flickering bulb, the same smell of iron and mildew. Her thoughts buzzed with static, not her own, but Caleb's.
I didn't take him. He came to me.
Her breath caught. The voice echoed without a source, leaking from the walls like mold. She drew her gun, not that it would help. In here, symbols had more power than bullets, but holding it grounded her, reminded her of who she was. Suddenly, a door appeared on her left. She hadn't seen it until now. It was slightly ajar. Inside, a child's bedroom. The floor was scattered with toys, a train set, blocks, a stuffed rabbit missing an eye. On the bed, blankets neatly folded, was a single drawing. Crayon. A figure with red hands and long limbs towering over a stick boy. She picked it up.
Where are you, kid?
Behind her, the door slammed shut. She spun, gun raised. But the room was empty. She was alone. Or so she thought. From under the bed came breathing, wet, uneven. She crouched slowly. There was something there, but not a child. It smiled.
This is where I kept the others, but not him. He's different.
Tell me where he is!
Silence. The thing under the bed giggled, then began to hum, a child's tune, warped and broken. The walls melted into rot, the toys turned to bone, the bed into rusted metal bars. Allie backed away, heart racing. This was deeper than surface memory. She was being pulled. She had to anchor herself, had to remember something real. Her name, her badge number, the boy's photo. The photo. She pulled it from her pocket. It was blank. A trap. This wasn't a mind she was inside. It was a mouth, and it had just closed around her. The deeper Allie went, the less the world made sense. There were no clocks here, only mirrors, and none of them showed her reflection. They flickered with static, sometimes glimpses of Caleb as a child, sometimes just black voids that whispered when she passed. The corridors had stopped mimicking any real place. They were abstract now, angular tunnels that bent impossibly, floors that curved upward, staircases that led sideways into rooms made of rusted cages. Time pulsed like a dying heartbeat. Her mind itched. Something was watching her.
Red door, find the key, but every lock takes part of thee.
She didn't know when she had started bleeding. A thin trickle from her nose, her ears. The system was warning her, mental strain nearing threshold. But the boy, she saw him in flashes, sometimes standing at the end of a hallway, sometimes in a crowd of faceless people, the only one with eyes, sometimes reflected in the broken windows, but never where he should be. He was afraid. She could feel it.
Where are you? Show me. I'm not here to hurt you.
A door slammed behind her, then another. The walls convulsed, and she fell into a room that hadn't been there seconds ago. It was a basement. Cold, wet, endless. The smell of soil and rot. Chains dangled from the ceiling. Something was breathing in the dark. She didn't move. Then a light, faint and yellow, flickered on. In the far corner, the boy, curled, in a fetal position, crying. Allie stepped forward, slowly.
Hey, it's okay. I'm here. You're safe now.
He looked up. His eyes were hollow. The thing that wore his face was not a child. It lunged. She fired. Instinct, panic. But the bullets moved like syrup, bending mid-air, swallowed by the room itself. The creature, still looking like the boy, crawled backward into the wall, melding with it, laughing.
You came too far. You left the door open.
The room shrieked. Her name vanished from her thoughts. Memories blurred. Her mother's face, gone. Her partner's voice, gone. Only the case file remained. Only Caleb. His presence grew like a tumor behind her eyes.
What makes you think you're not the last one?
Allie screamed. Her body twisted, her muscles locked. She collapsed to her knees as hands, dozens of tiny, gray, wrinkled hands slid from the walls and reached for her. She bit her lip hard enough to draw blood. Pain, real, hers. She focused.
I'm Allie Varin, badge number 0426. I am not you. I am not this.
The room shrieked again, angrier this time, and shattered like glass. She was thrown backward into a hallway, gasping, bloody. But the mirrors were gone. Only one thing remained. A single red door, locked, and written across it in something dark and drying. The boy is inside, but so am I. Behind a door, she heard breathing, and it was not alone. Allie stood before the red door. The walls were silent now, no whispering, no humming, just the low throb of her own pulse pounding behind her eyes. The words scrawled across the door had dried to black. She reached for the handle. It burned, not with heat, but memory, flashes of pain, loss. The day her sister disappeared when Allie was 9, the empty crib, the cold apology from the police, that sense of helplessness that had followed her every day since. It wasn't just Caleb's mind anymore. It was using hers. Allie gritted her teeth and forced the door open. The room beyond was a void, an impossible black stretching forever, yet ending just 20 feet away. In the center, the boy, his real body, unmoving, suspended in the air by wires of light that pulsed in sync with a heart that hadn't yet stopped. And behind him, a shape, towering, humanoid, but all wrong. Its limbs twisted backward, its face a pulsing mass of eyes and mouths that whispered secrets too fast to understand. Caleb's true mind.
He's not special. He's just empty. And emptiness is useful. You know this, Allie. You've lived with it your whole life.
Let him go.
Let yourself go. You're not so different. You came looking for something you lost. A sister, a child, a purpose. They're all the same thing, aren't they? Holes waiting to be filled.
The thing moved closer, each step silent but thunderous inside her skull. Her knees buckled. The air was thick with dread. More than emotion, it was substance, like drowning in someone else's grief. Allie forced herself upright. She walked toward the boy. Each step burned. The void resisted her, screamed at her. The voices multiplied, accusing, tempting, pleading. But she didn't stop. She reached him. His eyes opened, blue, terrified, real. He tried to speak, but no sound came. The wires of light tightened, reacting to her presence. She grabbed them.
You don't get to take another one.
The shape lunged. It passed through her like fog, and yet every nerve screamed. She felt herself unraveling, her mind peeling back like old wallpaper. And then, her sister's face, laughing, in the sun, not in pain, not in fear, just a memory, a real one. Allie screamed, not in terror, but defiance, and tore the wires free. Light erupted, Caleb's mind shattered, reality fractured, and then silence. Allie woke up in the NeuroBridge chamber, retching, soaked in sweat, screaming incoherently. Doctors pulled the visor from her face. Lights flickered overhead. In the corner, wrapped in a blanket, the boy. He was alive. He looked at her. He smiled.
Thank you.
Caleb was dead. Brain rupture. Neural feedback loop. Official cause, systemic overload. But Allie knew better. He'd tried to drag her into his mind and trap her there forever. But she'd seen through the lie. She hadn't been searching for closure. She was searching for rescue. And this time, she wasn't too late. Still, something lingered. That final moment, when the void collapsed, she remembered one last whisper.
You didn't leave empty.
She didn't know what it meant, but sometimes when the lights flickered at night, she thought she saw her own reflection moving a little too slowly in the mirror, watching her, smiling, waiting.